Okay, you guys, are you guys ready to start a new quilt? I sure am. I have so much fun quilting and I had so much fun showing you guys the last tutorial. If you have not watched that one, you probably will want to hop back over to part 1 of the fastest quilt ever and look it over, because a lot of the same cuts that you did at the beginning to get that 4 block we're going to be using here as well. So what I'm using is a half-yard bundle that I got from the Fat Quarter Shop. So it's just fatquartershop.com, and this is called the Amethyst Magic Half-Yard Bundle. I have not checked yet to see if it's still available. I've had it for a while. If it's not, I apologize if you really like how this one turns out. But you will be able to find similar fabrics, even in your own color, to kind of go off what I did. So this bundle was a lot of purples, which is why I grabbed it. And what you'll want for this particular quilt is some dark colors. So this is like more dark purples. And then you'll want some that are kind of more medium purple or medium hue that you are using, and then some lighter colors in that hue. And again, so I'm using purples, so dark, medium, and light. And then I'm going to use some green, so I would pick a tonal color that goes nice with whatever color you're using before. Since I'm doing kind of a flower theme, that's why I went ahead and did a leafy green, because I think it'll look nice together. So in this bundle, there are still some other fabrics that I'm not going to use for this particular quilt, which are amazing and will go great in another project. There's these purple stripes, very, very gorgeous. And then some more purples. And this green is cute because it did go with this. It was the same pattern, just different colors, and the same with these. So this bundle comes with an amazing variety. These are the ones that I'm going to use in a different project, and these you're going to see me use in this particular project. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to iron them out good, and then we're going to get to cutting. So I'm not going to go step by step this time with all of the measurements. It's just kind of going to be working through the quilt and showing it to you assembled. But I will put a link to my website below, and you will be able to get a PDF with all the instructions, measurements, things you need for this quilt on there. So let's get started. This fabric is so gorgeous. The background isn't like a true black, but it's kind of a watercolor feel along with the flowers, and I love it. So I'm going to get this cut. It is one of my that I have designated as a dark fabric. So I'm doing, again, dark, medium, and light. And then I have the fabrics that I'm going to use to border. So I'm going to get this cut. I'm going to line up the fold of my fabric up here at a line, and then I'm going to square off an edge, square off the bottom, cut my strips, and then cut those down to the measurement that I need. That is just how I like to work through my fabric, and I'm going to do this to the dark, the medium, and the light fabrics. And so I'm going to line up the line on my ruler at the top here and cut down this side. Get it all lined up. And I try not to have to lift the fabric if I can avoid it, because if I lift the fabric, that means that my line that I cut may no longer be straight anymore because the fabric could have shifted. Okay, and now I'm going to turn that folded edge to me, because I know this up here is straight and this is straight. So I'm gonna need a bigger ruler to get my measurement. Line these up. Okay, I'm gonna hold these two. Okay, and I have the measurement there. I don't want to have to move the fabric, but to see that line that I cut, I'm going to need to move it a little bit. I tried to go, and then I hit it. Tried to go as gentle as I could, but hopefully we're good. Hopefully it didn't move too much. Okay. Line it up. I'm really excited about this quilt. When I thought about the idea, it was because it was based a little on a design I did for a Christmas quilt. And I thought of it when I was looking at this fabric. I was like, this fabric is so gorgeous. I think it would be a lot of fun to implement this rocking feel to it and make it kind of look like a rocking back and forth swaying flower garden. I turned this the wrong way. When I talk, I do that a lot. I guess I forget what hand I cut with when I'm talking. I don't know. So I need to cut this side. And again, all the measurements will be on my blog. You need to move that gently. Normally, I try to keep these lined up together, but without my glasses and feeling like I can get right in it and get in the, I don't want to get in the way of the camera so you can't see what I'm doing. I don't want to put my face up there. So I'm trying to make it where you can see what I'm doing, but to do that, I have to move the fabric. So 2, 4, so I have 4 here cut, and I want 10 of each, color. So what I'm going to do is fold this one open, and I should be able to get one out of that. So that would be 5 out of each strip. Okay. So we have 5, and then after we cut this one, we'll have 10. I don't really want to move it, but don't do what I'm doing. Try not to move your fabric. I'm just going to go ahead and move those. Excuse me. Excuse me. And then after this one, we'll have 10, and then we'll cut through the rest of the colors. So we need to do the light purple and the medium purple. So there we go. is combine these into contrasting pairs. So for example, I'll take a dark and a light and pair them together. Want to line them up nicely. Okay, and then we are going to draw a line down the middle. So origins. So we're gonna draw a line down the middle of all of them. I'm gonna place pins just to hold them together for sewing. And then after I get all of these paired, do it this way. After I get all these paired, I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam along both sides of this marked line. So I'm gonna go through and pair different blocks together. So I'm gonna do a medium and a dark, and a light and a medium, right sides facing together, and just work through that, marking the middle of them, pinning, setting them to the side, and then we'll sew. Okay, so now we are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam from both sides of that line we marked. Now I like to have all of my fabric paired together and ready to go all at once, so I have it all marked. And they're all pinned, and I can just sit and sew all of them at once and make really quick work of it. Okay, so now we're just gonna cut down the line we drew. And then we'll have blocks that look like this. But we're going to want to cut that again in half. And then that's how we're gonna get our nice contrasting 4 square blocks. How beautiful is that? So, I love this method for getting 4 square blocks together because it comes together nice and quickly. It's just like that. I'll have 2 almost ready. So after doing all these cuts, we are going to, of course, press all of these seams. And then we'll sew the blocks together. And we will be done with that step just that quickly. How cool is that? So sometimes quilting can come together super quickly. This fabric is gorgeous. So I got it from the fatquartershop.com. I'll put links to it as long as the fabric is still available. All right, let's keep on cutting. I got my blocks pinned at the seam, and they are contrasting blocks with right sides together. And so we're just gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam along there. I just pin the seams, but you could of course pin as much as you like along here to keep everything together. Okay, so there we go. One is finished. This is why I like pinning my seams, because I get a nice, like where all the seams meet here, I get nice corners. And I usually will nest my seams so that they lay nice and flat when I press them again. So I'm just gonna go through and sew these and then press them open. And then all we have to do is sew the border on. Okay, so now we're ready to start sewing the border on. I'm just putting one border strip flush with one side of my block. Now here, I'm gonna stop about 1 inch or so from the edge of my block, and you'll see that there's an overhang of your border strip. This is what you want. I'm gonna back stitch. This is so that we can sew on our final border piece and then sew the borders here together. You'll see how that works out as we go. So I'm gonna trim these. Now, if you remember, I'm using 2 different colors of border. Well, they're both greens, but their design is a little bit different. So I'm just pressing open the seam here with my presser. You can also use your finger. And you won't want to press all the way across here because, like I said before, we're going to need to sew that on in a little bit. So I'm taking my next border piece. So I'm going to have 60 strips of this lighter colored green that I'm going to put on blocks. And then we're going to have 60 of my more dark green. So here I can sew right to the edge. It's just that first one that you put on that you won't want to go all the way to the edge. And even this here comes together really quickly. And this is a nice small throw size quilt. It's also good baby quilt for laying down and doing tummy time and playtime on the floor and things like that. It's the perfect small size quilt. So you could also make this bigger too. Once you figure out the measurements, you could just add on blocks to both sides to get it bigger. Because it's all about the final blocks that will make up the size of your quilt. Okay. Press this open, and then we just have one more side to sew on. Okay, and then this goes along the edge of our original 4 square block. And then you'll want to make sure to move that other piece out to the side. And then we are going to line up our strip and sew. Okay, I'm going to press this last side open. And then now, since we left room here, we can kind of fold that back down and finish off that first side. And this is a nice, easy way to add borders onto blocks. Trim some strings. Press that open. Okay, and then I will take these to the ironing board and press them again, just to make sure everything's nice and flat and even. Okay, so we have our blocks done, and now what we're going to do is cut them at an angle. So for this one, I'm going to take all the light blocks and tilt them to my right. So I'm going to do this to that entire pile, and I'm going to line up this ruler in here, making sure that I'm not going to cut through any of the 4 square blocks. So I want a little bit of space between all of the corners here. So my ruler is fairly straight, but my block is tilted to the right, and then I'm just going to cut. It's kind of nerve-wracking doing this part because you don't want to, you know, mess it up, right? You did all this work. So I'm just trying not to, I'm gonna hold this and turn. Oh, I did shift it. I was taking such care not to. I think I'm good and lined back up. Okay, so now I have my rocking block. So I'm gonna do the same thing to the entire pile of light blocks. I'm gonna tilt it to the right and then cut. So set that up here. Well, maybe I'll set it here so you can still see it. So then with the dark blocks, I'm gonna take it and I'm going to tilt it to the left. Set my ruler on it. Kind of get my ruler straight. Maybe I tilted it a little much. And the nice thing about these acrylic rulers is you can kind of see through and make sure that you are lining it up good. You like it. You like all the space around all of them. And then I'm gonna cut. Ooh, I keep moving my ruler. I'm not holding it well enough. Okay, let's come over here and get this side. Okay, now turn. This time I'm just not going to keep my hand on the ruler because I think that's what turned it. And if I turn nice enough, maybe I won't knock it around. Okay, so let's check it out and see how they look together. Okay, so then it's going to be, when I piece these rows together, I'm going to alternate dark border, light border, dark border, and so they're going to be rocking back and forth. How cute is that? Okay, so I'm going to continue through with the rest of my blocks, cutting them.